G'day guys, Lindemann here, and here's a look at ARMA 3. I haven't put up many videos in the last few months of ARMA 3 because I've been busy with other games and we are still playing ARMA 2 on the TAC side of things. But I thought I would take a look at Altis, which is the new map. It's 270 kilometers squared. It is the biggest, most dense map that Bohemia Interactive have ever put together, so decided to set some fog, make it morning, and focus on one area of Altis at a time. So here I am. I love the little bird. It works perfectly. It's not take on a helicopter's level of detail, unfortunately, so it is very easy to pick up and fly. You don't need to learn how helicopters work. And I'm in the northwestern mountainous region of Altis. So there is a little town just before of Oriol Castro, and just off from there, off to the northeast, is a castle. You can see there's a monument which we can have a quick look at, and it wouldn't be a Bohemia Interactive map if there wasn't a castle ruins. So just having a quick look around. It's all very nicely detailed. The new lighting effects is probably the main feature that I've been really looking forward to, as well as the animations. But the fidelity and the level of detail for something like a flight simulator is, or if you compare the two, it's just amazing. Obviously the maps are a lot smaller than a typical flight simulator, but for a little bird this is perfect. So I can't wait to set up a few missions with Convoy and helicopter operations, etc. So this is really good. Just leaving the castle now, we'll fly back to town. You can see there is a lot of variation between foliage that they've added in, a lot of new material, a lot of buildings. There's a lot of steep slopes around this part of Altis, so it'd be quite good for insurgency type operations or anti-insurgency, a lot of sort of special forces type operations if you're interested in that sort of thing. Conventional forces, I'd be looking at helicopter insertion, airborne troops, mountain troop, convoy ops, all sorts of cool stuff like that. The other thing that Altis, or this part of Altis, is known for is the power supply. So there's a lot of wind farms. The whole thing is just a giant wind farm. So I'm not sure what we can do with that in terms of interrupting power supply or doing some special forces operations around here to take out objectives associated with the infrastructure of Altis. But I'm sure mission makers will have a lot of fun with those sorts of things. You should see, if I just fly around a bit, you should see that I've set the new volumetric fog as well. You can see the sun there is shine off the DirectX 11, and there's a lot of roading going on around this mountain roads, etc. So be good for convoy operations. Being a wind farm, there's a lot of power supply, so you've got to be a little careful not to fly your helicopter into a power line or two. The power lines may not actually destroy your helicopter. They seem to get tangled and you end up with a helicopter just kind of sitting on the power lines, but they're probably going to patch that at some point. I doubt it's a high priority. And the great thing with Altis that I've noticed, as opposed to any other maps recently, is the level of detail just gives you all of these really cool destinations just kind of popping out, little tiny towns. You can fly at night and find little areas that you would think would be a perfect location for some CQB or something. And with previous maps and massive open world sandbox environment, you typically have very sparse environments. So it's kind of good, and it's kind of worked to ARMA's strength. It was all about open world, long range infantry contacts. You're shooting things hundreds of meters away. It's very realistic. But with the denser environments, it just means that you can sneak up a lot more. You can do a lot more interesting things, and it will just kind of change the nature of the contacts and engagements that you have inside ARMA 3, as opposed to being out in the open and sparse rolling hills in previous maps. That's the idea anyway. Hopefully that works out. I can see here is another wind farm, and if you look off into the distance, I'll just get under these power lines so we can head off. You can see off to the left there that there's a whole lot of these wind farms, and you can see the volumetric, the new fog. I set it so that it would blank out the lowlands and just focus us in on looking at the hills in this part of Altis. So I'll just head off. Valleys, where there are hills, there will be valleys, so quite happy with the terrain masking that you can get if you're interested in flying insertions and staying alive. You'll want to be flying through the valley lowlands and using terrain masking to protect yourself. If you're wondering what I'm using, I'm actually flying with a HOTAS joystick, the HOTAS Warthog known from DCS, and comes with a throttle, hands-on throttle and stick HOTAS, and a pair of rudder pedals, but that's not required. If you just have a keyboard and mouse and you're a first-person shooter player, then it's very easy to fly. In fact, I'd say it's actually by default easier to fly with the mouse, and that's going to upset some people probably, so I'll explain what I mean by that. The sensitivity and dead zone by default on the joystick is incredibly clunky with controllers, whereas they're not there on the mouse. So turn up the sensitivity and turn the dead zone down to 0 if you're using a joystick, and it will fly a bit more what I'm used to anyway. I'm not sure if other people will find it the same. So back there we saw some rocky outcrops, which looked kind of interesting, and here's another wind farm with a little, what I thought would be transformer, but it kind of, it's a bit of a shack, so I'm not sure what the state of these what the power supply is like on Altis. There's the good old power grid going off down into the fog, and you can see kind of a vista there of foggy morning on Altis. I'm told unofficially, although no reason to believe otherwise, that the AI visibility is now affected by this new fog. So if you are flying and or if you're a player in the fog hiding from a helicopter flying above you, then you should be safe, unless they've got some fancy technological way of detecting you. So yeah, that should be quite good for co-op missions and PvP or TVT missions, where the weather will dictate different tactics and strategies. So just flying around here, you can see there's a lot of different what you might call locations if you're filming, or destinations, mission objectives, lots of places that you can work with, get nice and low. This is where you can start to see how good this engine, this game in general, would be for another take on helicopters. So I'm really I really hope they come out with a new take on helicopters very quickly after ARMA 3, because I really want to have this level of fidelity and this size of map, with these lighting effects and the sound and everything, and a take on helicopters flight model, because that's what's missing. This is very easy to fly. It's not bad or anything. It's just simple. So you don't get that reward of, mastering the physics, but it's not what it's for. That's what take on helicopters is there for. So okay, so that's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to cover. It's going to be just a quick video showing this part of Altis. I'll throw up a couple of others looking at some other cool locations. There's the main city to the south of here, which obviously for this type of map isn't a massive city. It's basically a town, because this is just a smallish island in the Mediterranean. There's also some other interesting locations. There's grasslands and swamplands and lowlands, flats, and there is a dry lake, salt lake kind of location as well, which is kind of freaky to fly over in a helicopter. So yeah, we'll have a look at that. Now just here, I kind of start losing visibility, situational awareness with the whiteout. So just as a quick test, just gonna see if I can fly with the instruments. Are the instruments kind of accurate? And as far as I can tell, I'm looking at the vertical speed, I'm going up slowly, looking at the artificial horizon. It all pretty much works. I'm pretty happy with that. And you can just zoom in. I've actually toggled a joystick button to zoom in, and it's very snappy compared to ARMA 2. So pretty easy to fly in a whiteout if you do need to revert to instrument flight. Not really a big deal for ARMA. So you've got no navigation aids, so you're probably not going to be doing that for very long. But as from Take on the Helicopters, that has made it across. The flight model didn't, but yeah, the instruments working a lot more accurately are quite nice. Okay, so that's it. Thanks for watching.